Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A Launceston man has died after being hit and killed by a car on the Midland Highway near Epping Forest. Police labelling the incident as traumatic as investigators try to piece together what happened. Our reporter Garth Burley has the story.
It was here on the Midland Highway, just north of Epping Forest, where at 9 last night, a 43-year-old Launceston man was fatally struck by a passing car. Earlier, police were fielding concerned calls from the public about the victim's erratic driving, but on the way to investigate, they received a grim update. He parked his vehicle alongside the busy highway before he was hit and killed.
It's a very tragic situation, and police have, thoughts go out to the family.
The driver behind the wheel of the car which struck the 43-year-old is said to be in shock, but is helping police with its inquiries.
It's always traumatic to attend these scenes. It's traumatic for everybody involved, including emergency services.
Tasmania Police is continuing its investigation and will prepare a report for the coroner.
A Tasmanian family seafood business has reached out on social media saying around 80 crayfish were stolen from one of its vessels on Thursday night. Tatnall's Live Rock Lobster saying the loss equals to around $3,500, while calling for anyone who saw suspicious activity at the Margate Wharf, either that night or early Friday morning, to contact police. Direct flights between Tasmania and New Zealand are facing another delay. They were originally planned to begin in January. That date was then pushed back to March. Now the state government says they won't be taking off until the second quarter of the year. The Tourism Industry Council says the move isn't unexpected.
We obviously know the border uncertainty of New Zealand is continuing. Obviously this is a long-term play for Tasmania, so when it does start, we need it to obviously get off to a really strong start and we need to sustain it.
The federal government says it anticipates the Hobart Airport will be ready to support international flights by the middle of the year. 2 people have died in motorcycle crashes in Tasmania this year, and police are hoping to stop that number from rising any further. Targeted operations have been underway in the state's west this long weekend, following multiple serious crashes in the area.
It's an outcome feared by many when a loved one leaves home on their motorbike and never returns.
We don't want to be the ones knocking on your door to deliver those sort of messages to next of kin.
This year, there has already been 2 fatalities and 18 serious injuries from motorbike crashes on Tasmania's roads.
That compares to 4 fatalities last year for the entirety of last year. So we are concerned that motorcycles again are overrepresented in our serious and fatal crashes.
71 motorcyclists were seriously injured in 2020, and police don't want to see that number repeated this year. Conducting targeted traffic operations in the west of the state this long weekend, urging riders to take extra care on our roads.
Because motorcyclists are so overrepresented in our serious and fatal crash statistics, and because they're so vulnerable on the roads, we obviously are concerned their messaging is still not getting through. Their actions play a major role as to whether they go home at the end of the day.
Because the consequences can be devastating. Meg Sydes, 7 Tasmania News.
Firefighters are continuing to battle a bushfire at Molesworth this evening. Residents in surrounding areas captured these videos as water-bombing helicopters and planes were used to help bring the blaze under control. A bushfire alert message has been issued for Molesworth, Murphy's Flat and the Lyle Highway. Boat users in the area have been advised to keep a safe distance from the aircraft while they're accessing water from the River Derwent. Fans have taken a trip back through time to when Longford was at the centre of the racing world. The annual Motorama scaled down to one day, but not lacking in size. One exclusive experience giving the public an insight into the town's rich motorsport history.
It was notorious.
Brake hard at the 150-yard mark and then go back to second to take the left-hander under the viaduct.
The viaduct, a lightning-fast stretch of the Longford Raceway that tested both skill and bravery.
A lot of people, unfortunately, didn't quite get it right and ended up in the trees there or in the paddock there.
Bruno CAROSI is one of them. After popping a tyre, he lost control of his Jaguar before he became wedged in bushland.
But I landed right down to the blackberry and it wasn't fun, but it was okay.
The corner's famous tales of terror revived, with the public able to retrace every inch of Longford's old Grand Prix racetrack for a one-time only experience.
It's in private hands now, the majority of the old track, especially under the viaduct. But thanks to those landowners, they've made all this possible.
The MOTORAMA condensed from 3 days to just one this year due to COVID restrictions, but that didn't stop thousands pouring into events across Longford. Jack Brabham's world-beating race car, the centrepiece, restored and roaring again.
Probably the last space frame car that won a world championship.
But before the cars, it was the bikes that ruled the track.
They were running down our back straight here, flying mile in excess of 150-60 miles an hour.
2 wheels and 4 joining forces for a never-before-seen parade through town, a cacophony of engines ringing out.
People want to hear the cars and they want to see them moving.
A small glimpse into a time Longford commanded the attention of the racing world. Garth BURLEY, 7 Tasmania News.
Petrolheads hit the road today, giving local children living with disabilities a chance to ride inside the hot rods and muscle cars. Around 50 vehicles were on display at the National Automobile Museum, providing a fun experience for the next generation of car enthusiasts.
That wouldn't normally be able to go for a drive. A lot of people can see the cars, but for this event, the kids actually get in the car and go for a drive, which is just an added bonus.
The 16th annual Cars for Kids event was free, but donations were welcomed. The Sheffield Shield is on a knife's edge heading into the final day, with Victoria needing less than 250 runs to win. Tasmania was bowled out for 263 in its second innings, with Jake Duran falling an agonising 2 runs short of a century. Jared Freeman also chimed in with a 30-run cameo. Victoria is none for 8 at stumps. Meanwhile, Queensland has thrashed Tasmania by 8 wickets in the WNCL. Grace Harris and Georgia Redmayne punished the Tigers bowlers, combining for a 210-run assault. Earlier, Sarah Coit scored 66, but the total of 226 was not enough. Tasmania will need to win its next game to cement a spot in the final. Meanwhile, the Collingwood Magpies have played a second practice match in Hobart ahead of the 2021 Super Netball season. Once again up against the New South Wales Swifts, it was a slow start for the Magpies, but they dominated the last 3 quarters to almost double the Swifts score, 83-42. There was plenty of action out on the field today, with the Southern Baseball League Grand Finals taking place at Prince of Wales Bay. The Grey Jays winning in Division 2, while the Orioles came out on top for Division 1. The president of Baseball Tasmania says the sport has rapidly grown in Tasmania, jumping from 4 teams to 11 in the past 4 years.
Yeah, you've got a lot of rookies, a lot of new players who haven't played before or have come from cricket. We've got, I think, a dozen schools lined up that we do clinics at the moment as well, so we're only going to get bigger.
A Hobart team will be sent to the Victorian Masters in Geelong next month. And Tasmania's top swimmers have taken to the water for the Long Course Swimming Championship in Hobart. It's the biggest event on the summer swimming calendar, giving athletes a final opportunity to qualify for the National Championships.
We've had 6 Tasmanian records and hopefully more to come tonight and tomorrow night's finals. Then quite a few athletes have met national standard times, which enables them to go on to national age championships.
More than 200 swimmers are participating in the 4-day event, which continues tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone. Launceston saw a top of 20 degrees today and 19 for Hobart, Burnie and Devonport. St Helens and Friendly Beach is the state's top with 23 degrees, 22 on Flinders Island, Smithton 21, King Island and Low Head both 20 and 19 in Strahan. Low cloud can be seen over the north of Tasmania today, with middle and high level cloud elsewhere. Across Australia, a middle-level cloud band stretches from the north of Western Australia to Tasmania. A cold front lies over the Southern Ocean, while thunderstorms are present in the northwest of South Australia and central Queensland. Tomorrow's chart shows the cold front approaching southwestern Tasmania with a trough ahead of it, and another extending from Victoria into Bass Strait. High centres lie over the Tasman Sea, while lows and troughs dominate the north of the country. Variable winds tomorrow 5 to 15 knots and westerly 10 to 20 knots about the south. A top of 22 in Hobart tomorrow, possible showers, and 22 in Dover, 24 and partly cloudy in Ouse. 22 and cloudy in Launceston, Devonport reaching 21, cloudy and 20 in Scottsdale. 22 in Burnie and Stanley tomorrow, both cloudy, a late shower, and 19 in Strahan. And in the east, cloudy and 20 in St Helens, a top of 21 in Swansea, and cloudy and 23 in Ross. And the UV tomorrow is high across the state with sunrise expected at 7 a.m. Looking on to Tuesday now, showers about the west and south, developing about the east and northeast during the day. Cloudy about the north on Wednesday, but partly cloudy elsewhere. And on Thursday, possible showers about the north, however partly cloudy across the rest of the state. Partly cloudy in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, 21 in Melbourne, Canberra 27, possible shower, and 21 in Sydney, and 30 degrees in Brisbane. And currently Hobart 17 and cloudy, mostly cloudy, and 18 degrees in Launceston, and 18 and cloudy in Devonport. And Lou, that is the weather tonight.
Looks good for the public holiday. Thanks for that, Chelsea. And that's all your news for this Sunday evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.